Hello, I'm Dustaroo, and I want to talk to you about wanted cosmetic sets in Dead by Daylight. This being a collection of costumes for survivors and killers alike. Licensed content that can't or won't be able to appear as a full chapter or paragraph. Whether that be a less popular series, or one that doesn't exactly fit tonally enough for Dead by Daylight. The best example of this being the Attack on Titan crossover collection. It is without a doubt an extremely popular series, but fitting it into the game as a killer or survivor could be quite the challenge. Especially when there's so many more fitting licenses that would be a better fit for the one out of the 2 spots reserved for licensed characters every year. If Dead by Daylight were to run for another 5 years, that would only be 10 more licensed killers and survivors, on average. So instead of never coming to the game, we can play dress up with our virtual characters instead. So here are the ones that couldn't make the cut for a full chapter, but would still be awesome to see included into the game in some capacity. This is 10 licensed cosmetic sets we all want to see. Number 10, Scooby-Doo. Now don't get this twisted, I would actually be very thrilled if this came out into the game as a full chapter or even a survivor paragraph. Imagine Shaggy Rogers or Velma being turned into an all-you-can-eat buffet by the Hag. But my instinct tells me that both the devs and the license holders of Scooby-Doo may be a bit hesitant to actually fully commit on a Scooby-Doo chapter. We could see something similar with what they did to the Left 4 Dead chapter and give specific survivors unique costumes like they're cosplaying as the characters. Or we could do the Attack on Titan collection style and make the killer skins full-on legendaries that turn them into new characters, or whatever the lore was for that. Easy picks, you got Felix for Fred, Dwight for Shaggy, Meg for Daphne, or even Kate. I assume people would get upset if we did this, seeing as there was this whole Velma situation that went down not too long ago, but Claudette could be a good pick for that skin. Remember, this isn't the actual characters, this would be them cosplaying as characters. I know, I can smell the outrage already, but just to save everyone the headache, make it Michaela or Jane Romero playing Velma instead, and I think people would be down for that. Also, drop some Hex Girl skins on us and just watch the cash pour out of people's wallets. Can't forget Scooby-Doo. Let's just put Ace in a onesie and I think everyone will be happy with that. Also, I don't think the Scooby-Doo collection would have to be limited to just survivors. We could see some legendary cosmetics for some of the most iconic Mystery Gang monsters. Like the first one that comes to my head is a Phantom Virus skin for Trickster. And somehow we Hatchet and the Creeper onto one of the killers. They wouldn't be the focus, but you could find some cool picks if you looked long enough, so yeah, Scooby-Doo. Number 9, Portal.
I think we can put our differences behind us. For science. You monster.
I bring this one up as I never see Portal being added for many reasons into Dead by Daylight. I just can't help but see so many people non-stop begging for the Singularity GLaDOS skin. Plus, Shell herself would be one of the easiest skins to just throw on to Meg. We even did get Bill cosmetics for free and Left 4 Dead items in a battle pass not so long ago. So I don't think it's out of the question for Portal to be brought into the game at some point, and I, among many others, would be very happy for this. Even if it is pretty light on the horror-like stuff we're used to, as a cosmetic set, I think it would be a perfect fit. Number 8, League of Legends, Arcane. Please stop booing me. Get your hands off that comment section, let me explain myself before you crucify me. I don't play League of Legends, I played it 10 years ago and spun around as some turtle guy for a weekend and never went back. I don't want or think there should ever be a League of Legends chapter in Dead by Daylight. There is so many more characters that deserve a place in the Hall of Fame of Horror before any Riot character. That being said, League of Legends has been and is still one of the biggest franchises to ever exist on the planet. And Arcane is one of the best animated shows I've ever seen, and that's coming from someone who's only ever known about Jinx being basically a female Joker. And that's the complete extent of my League of Legends knowledge at the time. The amount of fantastic and beautiful character designs is staggering, and some would just look fantastic being stabbed with a chainsaw. There is tons of survivor and killer options to choose from as well. Caitlyn Yujin, Echo Gabriel, Fiddlesticks Blight, Jinx Skull Merchant, I know people would be very happy about this. Evelyn Spirit. Come on. I know so many of you would put your hatred aside for the game if it meant getting hot demon lady skin. Not only would it be good for Behavior's wallet, it could also bring in a ton more players to the game. Yes, I know they're League players, but let's be honest here, it's not like Dead by Daylight players have any ground to stand on when it comes to criticizing communities. So let's lay down our arms and get hot demon lady in the game. Who's with me? Number 7. The Boys. Come on, who doesn't like The Boys? It's got the gore to fit into the game perfectly. After watching the main show and the spin-off, I've already seen 2 penises explode. I don't know about you, but that's a lot more disturbing than half of what these horror icons have ever done. I'm just as horrified watching The Boys knowing what may come next, as much as it is just waiting for Michael to tear some people up. So just throwing this out there, Felix Homelander skin, Kate Starlight, Billy Butcher David. They would all be fantastic pieces of eye candy to see running around. Killers can get some love too. Black Noir Trapper. Quiet, large dudes that you can hear breathing really hard. And they both like sharp objects. Number 6. Mortal Kombat. All I'm going to say, Scorpion Deathslinger. Instead of a gunshot, we hear, "Get over here!" Mortal Kombat could be seen as a chapter if Dead by Daylight manages to stay alive long enough, but for now we do have bigger fish to fry. But it does need to be acknowledged that Mortal Kombat walked, so Dead by Daylight's Moris could sprint burst. So it does deserve a little bit of recognition, in my opinion. We could have Shao Kahn Oni, who would slap. Well, slam. Johnny Caged White would be the top of the top, and I just know Milena Yui would be too good. And Raiden Jake, just to put that image in your head. So yeah, Mortal Kombat. Number 5. The Universal Monsters. So this is an interesting pick. I think eventually as the game goes on, we'll see more and more original killers start to borrow from these archetypes. We already have a few, like Jekyll and Hyde basically being Blight, but only a few writing decisions away. And Plague being a cool take on the Mummy. I don't ever see these icons actually ever being added or something like them, so showing some love to the OGs in a cosmetic set is something I can definitely get behind. Frankenstein Trapper, Invisible Man Wraith, Bride of Frankenstein Hag, or Nurse. So the powers might not exactly match for some more than others, but I would still be very happy to see Frankenstein lumbering around, bolts and all. I definitely don't think I'm alone in that. Number 4, Warhammer 40k. I don't know if Dead by Daylight players know about Warhammer 40k, but it's become one of my favorite bits of media since deep diving the lore a year ago. Not the actual tabletop game, because I think I would rather save for a house than build one army, but that's just me. The universe of 40k is just the worst thing ever. Happiness is a foreign concept to all the races that occupy the seeming endless expanse that is their universe. Galaxy, multiverse, whatever. It's a miserable existence, and as a Dead by Daylight player, I'm familiar with miserable existences, so this would definitely be one of the best fits out of this list. My personal speculation is if we ever did see Warhammer make an appearance in the game, it would only be as a cosmetic set, and hell, that would be okay with me. There would be less of an actual character skin I want to list, but more so just some general art around certain factions in the series. From Tech Priest and other Imperium of Man militaries, we've got some clean outfits that even the word drip would be an understatement. If Dead by Daylight wanted to, they could create a line of cosmetics sort of in the vein of the Blighted set, around Nurgle, killers who have become corrupted by the god of Rot himself, where they're just pussing and oozing and basically falling apart. Slap that onto a handful of killers and my next paycheck belongs to Behavior. Number 3, Twisted Metal. I've talked a lot about this series, so I won't go too in-depth with it, but this is a seriously slept-on IP, and with the success of the show not too long ago, we may see a resurgence in the interest of this series. We have some seriously iconic characters, or just stellar designs in general. Clown Sweet Tooth is an instant buy for me. You could have Dollface Legion, Calypso, Mr. Grimm, Krista Sparks. There is a lot of scary and intimidating figures who would just fit perfectly into the game we have now. now. I have zero doubt we would see any complaints around these inclusions. Well, that's not true. If I showed a picture of some grass, I'm sure one player would tell me why it's negative for the game. Number 2, Dark Souls and FromSoft. What is there, like 7 Souls games at this point? I could have easily just said Bloodborne and this would have been enough for this whole section. But let's count them all because holy hell, there is a lot of great skins that could be added from the game. Artorias Knight being the standout, Slave Knight Gale Blight, Orphan of Kos Hag. Not all the powers would fit, sure, but you would have some stellar skins, maybe even a few unique sounds or mories to really tie the whole thing together. I would welcome a FromSoft chapter, but I think a cosmetic set would just be perfect. And we're gonna do one honorable mention, and that's The Walking Dead. I still want to give The Walking Dead a shout out, as I do think the potential to get a paragraph Walking Dead survivor is actually really high. Regardless of how many times I see it, I don't think they would ever do Negan, or would be allowed to do Negan. He's sort of one of the main protagonists in the Walking Dead cinematic universe. I never thought I would be sitting here saying Walking Dead cinematic universe. It's crazy how times change. I doubt they would have him as a killer at this point, but maybe. Anyways, lots of cool skins like Daryl in his wings jacket, Rick with his murder beard, and yes, even Negan. It would be very cool and a lot of people would be happy to see them, but I do see them eventually doing a Survivor with a ton of legendary skins down the line. So I thought it'd be good just for an honorable mention. And number 1, Batman/DC. So this is kind of a left field pick, I know, but I think Batman, more so than most of the well-known comic heroes, has a particularly scary lineup of characters who just fit really well design-wise for Dead by Daylight. Joker's an easy one, but there are quite a few others that would really scratch that itch for me. I'm talking Poison Ivy, maybe for Spirit, Bane, Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc, Harley Quinn. I'm not serious with this pick, but I thought it was too funny not to mention. Imagine a Jared Leto Joker Trickster outfit. That would just be an accurate skin, but also a funny one too. And I'm pretty sure one was based off the other, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Now, this wouldn't exclusively be Batman-specific characters. There's a ton of horror-like comic characters that could be very fitting for the game. But Batman in particular is a very good rally point for the kinds of characters we could see from a DC crossover. And that brings us to the end of the video. So what do you think? Do you agree with any of these? Are there some I missed that you would prefer instead? Please let me know and I may do a second part about it. Like, subscribe, all those YouTuber things to help the channel grow. But anyways, thank you all for watching. My name is Dustaroo and I will see you all real soon. Bye-bye.